It really was in my early 20s where I became exposed to some literature referencing trans people that I came across something that I felt really spoke to me in particular, that I could identify with.
The headline was like, I'm a guy trapped in a girl's body. And it kind of made my head turn a little bit, and so I decided to read it more and more, and I'm like, this is me on a piece of paper.
No matter what Stephen might have been going through at the time, whatever it was, I didn't leave, you know. No matter what you do, I'm going to be here, my family's going to be here, they're going to be around you forever and support you. And whatever challenge it was, we made it through.
I'm very lucky because my story is different than many trans people. I did have a supportive family who stayed with me and didn't waver in their support of me as I started my transition.
So I started with a female hormone blocker, Lupron, which was really great because it helped slow down, actually completely stop the puberty state.
Thinking about coming up with $100,000 so that you can walk out the door and feel whole is quite daunting, particularly for a community that is so marginalized and often underemployed.
We kind of just said it wasn't going to happen until, BC decided to cover it, or we won the lottery, is what we said every time. I found out that TD covered it, and I really couldn't believe it. So I actually looked into it because I was a little bit skeptical, and yeah, it was true. So Stephen, it was a big moment for us, and we kept saying to each other, like, don't get too excited, but, you never know, don't get too excited, just in case, because honestly, I think somewhere back in our heads it was, it wasn't going to happen for him until, he was an older man maybe, So it was amazing, it was an opportunity that TD gave him that he wouldn't have had otherwise.
There's a lot of transphobia. So transphobia meaning that people don't know how to take or react to you. So often their response to you is a negative one, a negative emotion, or this is all based on fear.
As a trans person, I think we're aware that 1 in 12 trans people will be murdered, which is a ridiculous statistic.
Last year in North and South America, that number was at 253 trans people who were murdered for being who they are. No one should be dying for strictly who they are. I think it's very difficult as a trans person to get a job. Well, there's a reason why my social insurance card has a different name on it. That's a very awful and scary conversation to have with your new employer.
When I worked with HR to announce my transition to my team, there was no backlash or negativity from my team that I was exposed to whatsoever, which was wonderful.
Some of the tactics for the transgender employee community include our transitioning in the workplace guidelines. That helps the employees themselves, but also their people managers and their colleagues, their allies, who want to help them on the journey in the workplace to make for a comfortable employee experience.
But really, I was pleasantly surprised to see the amount of flexibility to say, work with the employee, have a discussion, what feels comfortable for the employee. Do they want X, Y, and Z? Do they need X, Y, and Z? Or do they have no desire for that whatsoever? And if that's the case, we can accommodate that.
I just try to spread awareness and education. And anybody who is either struggling or not sure, or have a loved one or a family or friend who knows somebody who just wants to help support them, I'm always open to talking to anybody.
It's so important. I try not to get choked up when I talk about it, but you're really saving people's lives.
It's a very hard process, and I think anything we can do, however many days or ads or social media feeds, or the more that's out there, I think it's better.
If you don't know that I'm trans, then you don't know that your client is trans, and you don't know that your colleague is trans, and you don't know that your manager is trans, or your employee is trans, or your friend is trans. You have to know there are other people, other trans people in your life who you're not aware are trans as well.